Hey, welcome to the Ringer Gambling Show, Friday edition. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I am joined by Anthony Dabbundo. No Cousin Sal today. Cousin Sal was just so heartbroken about Robert Redford's passing that he wasn't able to make it. Dabbundo, do you even know who Robert Redford is?
I thought I did. I had to Google to make sure that I knew who he was, and I was correct. But if you ask me to name 10 movies, it ain't going to happen.
Understandable. All right, we're going to go through week 3 games. But first, want to hit a little Thursday Night Football.
Honestly, like a picture into what I think the NFL is in danger of becoming. And I don't want to sound hyperbolic, but if we're going to have an NFL where Josh Allen and Tua are just going to be throwing all underneath swing passes, check downs, and nothing beyond 10 yards for the majority of the game, that's like a scary place, because I will say you're seeing this more and more with some of the better teams in the league that are just prioritizing possession, prioritizing ball control, and not taking any risks because they're so afraid of turnovers. And that's how it felt like the Bills played last night. And it's kind of how the Bills have transitioned their offense in the last, 2 years under Joe Brady, but it's not the most exciting brand of product. And the NFL's had this thing where the analytics revolution has actually made the sport better to watch. That would be where that no longer is necessarily true. So I did not love how the passing games ended up. It ended up being surprisingly competitive. So
I think you're right. It's funny. Analytics kind of ruined baseball, but I do think analytics led to more exciting football games with just like going for it on fourth down and all this stuff. But overall, I don't know. The Dolphins, they were down at 1.5 cornerbacks in this game. I guess Jack Jones came back pretty quickly, but you're right though. I think the Bills kind of looked at this game and they're like, we're 13-1 versus these guys in the last 14 games. And if we don't turn the ball over, we'll win the game. Overall, I don't know though. It's kind of like, we keep saying the game is becoming more like college instead of the other way around. And like, yeah, it's like, it's an extension of the running game, and the Dolphins can't run. And there was Amazon, they had the crazy stat in the middle of the game where Tua his average completion was behind the line of scrimmage, which is just preposterous. But
Devon Achan's first reception went for 15 yards. His next 4 went for -5 yards. Like, think about that.
That's why in fantasy I hate point per reception scoring. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the Dolphins are alone for this world. I don't think Mike McDaniel's going to get fired off that game, but
they've been solved.
Yeah. Yes, honestly, they totally have. And so we're going to go and solve the rest of the week 3 games here, and we're going to go into everything. Your 107 picks, my 107 picks, which are probably worse than yours. And then I'm going to just abuse the fact that Sal's not here, and I'm going to just ask you for a bunch of bets that I personally want to make. But first, we're going to take a quick break.
This is the Ringer Gambling Show presented by FanDuel, and the NFL is officially back. So if you're going to be in it with FanDuel. They've got the goods, futures, live betting, SGPs, your away bets, all of it. The app's clean, it's fast, and yeah, when you win, you get paid instantly, which is nice because Sunday patience doesn't exist. So get your bets in, build something bold, and make every game feel bigger. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/gamblers to get started. The Ringer is committed to responsible gambling. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available, and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 or older and present in select states, or 18 or older and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Paid endorsement.
All right, we're going to go through all the week 3 games, or at least the ones that we want to talk about. And I want to start with Ringer 107. Today's Ringer 107 is brought to you by FanDuel. And again, we got Bill Simmons we got this whole 107 competition where the gambling show competing against NFL, competing against Bill and House, competing against fantasy, competing against Shield. You and Sal are doing this every week. I think, this week, you're batting solo, so no pressure.
Well, Sal did give 2 picks, so I'm going to pretend like I'm Sal when we get to those 2 games.
Okay,
and
I like
the
that
case that I would give, because we have some back and forth. We each pick 2 we love, and then we kind of come to a consensus on the 5th pick. And generally speaking, we tend to be on the same wavelength. I was a little worried before the season, like, what if we just vehemently disagree? Like, how does that work? But we do generally agree with all 5 this week. So we will start with the Los Angeles Chargers -2.5 at home against the Denver Broncos. This is a kind of a continuation of my crusade against Denver. And I understand that the Broncos had a lot of offseason buzz. The elite defense, Bo Nix takes a step forward. The O-line is so good. It's very easy to spin the web of how the Broncos were going to be good this year. But I looked at it kind of from the other perspective, which is, what did we see from Denver last year against great quarterbacks, against good pass offenses? Not much. Like Buffalo, Baltimore, the Chargers in both meetings, they had a ton of success moving the ball. And you can even go back last season, Chargers put up 34 points in the second meeting. In the first meeting, they put up 20 points on the first 4 possessions of the first half and then basically sat on the lead. So I feel like Herbert has been successful against this defense. And I think there's some real cracks in the secondary. Patrick Surtain did have a weird like injury thing early in week 2, which the Colts had no problems going after him. Alex Singleton got picked on. The back 7 is not graded out well. If I had to tell you to guess where PFF grades Denver's coverage through 2 weeks, what would you guess their coverage ranking is?
I bet it's bad. The fact that you're asking this question makes me want to say 25th or worse.
26th.
All right. Wow. Look at me.
Pretty good. And so I don't know. I mean, like the one question was the Chargers O-line. The Denver does have a good pass rush. They brought a ton of pressure last week and brought blitzes, and Jones was able to pick it up. I don't think blitzing Herbert is a good strategy. So here we are. And I feel like Denver is, going to be forced to be methodical on offense. And Bo Nix, you want to guess who leads the NFL in turnover-worthy plays through 2 weeks?
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix, tied with somebody we're going to get into in a few minutes.
So I agree with what you're saying. I have a couple questions. First, so you're taking Chargers giving 2.5 here to the Broncos. Yes. I want to start with just a very simple question. I don't understand how it works. So home field advantage in gambling lines forever was like 3 points, right? And now it's kind of like 1.5.
1.5 is probably standard. Chargers divisional game, and it's the Chargers. It's probably less. It's probably closer to 1.
But how is home field advantage? What is this 2.5? I feel like I usually look at a line and I know what it means. Where it's like, oh, it's like the Bears line started as giving 1.5 to the Cowboys, and I guess that's because it's the Bears are home. But what do you do when the Broncos are going to have 50 to 60,000 fans in SoFi Stadium? It's going to be like an 80-20% split of Broncos fans. What does that do to this line?
Yeah, I mean the Chargers traditionally are under a point, so like they're going to be like 0.8. Is what I have their home field graded.
I love 0.8. Yeah.
0.8. Exactly. Does that make sense? Might be a 2 in the weeds. But basically, like I have the Chargers multiple points better than the Broncos as of right now. I have the Broncos, maybe I shouldn't say it's too loud, as a below average NFL team. If you don't think their defense is a top 5-6 unit, and you think their offense is kind of just average-ish to below average, which I do think, then you can very easily get the Broncos to be the 17th ranked team, which is where I had them coming into this week.
So I think I'm intrigued by what you're saying. And, there's a thing nerds say every year, which is like defense isn't as consistent year to year as offense. And that isn't like a nerdy analytical thing. That's just an observation of obviously because offenses can bring back the same quarterbacks and offensive lines. And that's like most of it. Whereas defense, honestly, defensive play is like a parlay, where you're trying to parlay together it's kind of like golf, where it's like, can you parlay together your drive, your irons, your chipping, and your putting? And you're like, oh, if you get it all together, cool, you get a birdie. And that's kind of defense, is you're kind of hoping everything can work on a string. And then suddenly Patrick Surtain rolls his ankle, which is not on the injury report this week, even though he's talked about how the injury affected him last week, yet he's not there in the injury report unless I missed it. And so I agree with what you're saying, where I think the Broncos defense is vulnerable. My question for you, though, is the Broncos are still number 1 in pressure rate through 2 weeks. And it's 2 weeks, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But they're number 1 in pressure rate. And then the Chargers are dropping back to pass more than any team over expectation so far. And so how do you feel about that, where it's basically, because I do think in some ways the game can come down to whether the Chargers are going to give up pressure and how Herbert handles it. And you're basically saying the Broncos against great quarterbacks have been like whatever.
They've been fine. Like they had good games against Mahomes defensively, but I mean, is that even a great offense anymore? It hasn't been for a year and a half. What I see with Denver is that they, like I said, they like to bring pressure. And Herbert last year, when you go back and watch, because I feel like he has looked more spry through the first 2 weeks of the season. Maybe some of what last year's play calling was acknowledging that maybe Herbert wasn't as healthy as they let on. Because it didn't feel like he was
all year. He had like
right. He wasn't moving away from pressure as well. And we saw the Chiefs try to dial up pressure, and he was able to just get out of it pretty comfortably. And I think that, like, if you have to choose between two offenses, the Chargers being this like run heavy, grinded out game type team versus the one we've seen for the first 2 weeks. I mean, I think everybody would take the one we've seen through the first 2 weeks.
This is also just like, these are two Oregon quarterbacks, and Herbert and Bo Nix. If you ask some Oregon fan who doesn't watch the NFL, they'd be like, yeah, Herbert's better than Nix. What are you talking about? So I think this is a good one. What was your next Ringer 107 bet? Or is this Sal? And also, if it's a Sal bet, you have to do a Sal impression.
I don't know if I have a good Sal impression. I've rehearsed
Do a
that.
bad one then.
I'll do a bad one. All right. Next one is mine. San Francisco 49ers -2.5. Now, I did just see a tweet from Ben Fox that is the most popular bet at one sports book this week. So that's always scary. But
that's
I really
even though Brock Purdy missed last week with a toe injury and a shoulder injury, and Purdy says his shoulder injury is healed, but the toe injury is still the problem. And Purdy's like, maybe I'll play. But then you're saying I don't think so either. But you're saying the Niners are the most popular bet of the week, even though it's probably going to be Mac Jones again.
Correct. Very fascinating to me. I feel like the public isn't probably too dialed into the Arizona defensive back injuries, because I think that's really the crux of this game for me. I mean, we have a common opponent here. Arizona and San Francisco both played road games against New Orleans, and there was a pretty sizable difference in how those games played out. Like if you regraded those games, Arizona had a lower success rate than New Orleans. They have a negative net success rate through 2 games, which is just successful play for or allowed, and then you take the combined number of that.
Did you get 5 yards on first down? Yes or no? Did you convert a third down? Yes or no?
Right.
Stuff like that.
And the 49ers offense, the burn unit that rolled up to New Orleans last week, 47% success rate
the burn
on the road.
unit.
39% for Arizona in week 1. So I'm like, football's not this simple. But when you put the reality of the fact that we thought Arizona was going to be a good running team, they haven't been. And we thought the Niners injuries would slow them down. They kind of didn't last week. And I get all these Arizona injuries where potentially their top 5 corners from the start of training camp will not play in this game. Multiple season-ending injuries that happened during training camp, multiple injuries that happened in the game against Carolina. I get down to just Niners -2.5 as one of my favorite picks of the week.
I'm cool with this too. I don't have a problem with it. I actually think Mac Jones is fine for the 49ers. But my only issue is just the Cardinals always play Niners well. Like I think Shannon, I didn't know this till Craig told me on the fantasy show yesterday that Shannon has a winning record against almost every team in the league, but actually is under 500 versus Arizona. The Cardinals always play the Niners close. That gives me a little pause, but overall, I agree with what you're saying. The Cardinals running game is supposed to be good. And if you're going to be able, if the Cardinals should be able to put away a 27-3 lead on any team, it should be Carolina. You should be able to run the ball on Carolina in the second half. And yet the Cardinals almost had Bryce Young pull off a Tom Brady 28-3 comeback. Like the Panthers almost won that game. And I'm not convinced at all that like the Cardinals can take advantage of what should be the Niners' weakness, which is like, some inexperience on the defensive line. So I don't mind this one at all. And
I came in kind of like hoping to like the Arizona defense, and now I'm just not sure who's left. I mean, it did look like, so Max Melton was a limited participant. Will Johnson did not participate, and Garrett Williams is on the injured reserve. So looks like maybe 1.5 of the 3 corners could play.
It's not ideal. It's also one of those, like you're watching the Dolphins last night and the guys give it a go and then they leave in the middle of the game and you're like, oh my God, this is somehow worse almost. So I think this is smart. Also, literally no one's better at that than Shanahan in the whole NFL at kind of targeting like weak players in the defense. So so you're saying Niners giving 2.5, Chargers giving 2.5. Okay. So Ringer, what's your next one you got queued up here?
I've been thinking about this Sal impression in the back of my mind while we've been doing this, and I just keep thinking of the Sal Collinsworth impression.
Oh yeah, just do that.
I don't know if I can do that either, though. That might be copyright violation. FCC might come after me. I mean, shit, I don't know. I don't want that.
Just give it a go. What are the odds of that, right?
All right, next one is the Dallas Cowboys, now -1.5. We got the +1.5 for the Ringer 107. Look at us, CLV, Team CLV.
I don't know what CLV means.
Oh, that's right. Closing line value. So it's like when you make a bet and then the bet line moves in your direction before the close, that is considered like a sharp indicator in gambling because you got a better line than the market.
Yeah. The problem is like the sharps say that I'm dull. And so I just think CLV has always meant Cleveland, which has always meant like weird because then it's a bunch of smart football people talking about the Cleveland Browns. And I'm like, that's weird that they're excited about that. So this is where I need you to explain gambling to me because I follow football all the time. I like gambling. I don't want to pretend to always understand gambling. And I just genuinely have a serious question for you. So this line, the Cowboys are at Chicago. It's on Sunday. This opened as Bears favored. Why were the Bears favored to win this game at any point?
Look, I've been kind of skeptical of the Bears since Jump Street this year. Why were the Bears, a pick 'em against Minnesota. Maybe that was right. Why were the Bears, 8.5 win total before the season? I don't and have not really understood all the Bears helium. Like, we all want Caleb to be good. And I think we all like look at the tape and we squint and we try to find reasons to be like, well, this is getting better and this is getting better. And maybe he did this one thing well. But like the body of work at this point is not insignificant. And it's not like the receivers are bad or he has no talent around him. I know the line's been inconsistent, especially last year, and then we blame the coach and like at some point, Caleb Williams has to actually be good in the NFL before he gets all this market respect of like the market's projecting him to be good. It hasn't happened.
No, I agree. And I think this is a sneaky under the radar charged game. I don't know if it's going to be chippy, but I think that this is going to be kind of an under the radar emotional game because Matt Eberflus, who's the Bears head coach last year, who got fired after the Thanksgiving disaster, is the Cowboys defensive coordinator. I believe 4 different Bears coaches, assistant coaches from last year are on this Cowboys team, which is not nothing when you consider the back and forth between Caleb giving the excerpt to the Seth Wickersham book that's coming out, I think like this month or just came out this week, that Caleb says he wasn't coached or taught how to watch film. And then there were all these, 32 anonymous Bears sources, many of which were coaches fired last year, that went on the record saying Caleb was basically the most catered to rookie quarterback that any of them had ever seen. And so it's like there's a lot of vitriol between a quarterback and his staff for someone who's been in the NFL for 1 year. I do think that's going to go into it when literally the head coach last year is now the defensive coach, kind of hit him this year. But overall, though, I just still don't understand. Like when we did the Ringer 107, the fantasy show, this was the first game I grabbed. And I was like, I want the Cowboys getting points. To me, it's this simple. I think both defenses are bad. The Cowboys defense is horrific. Like they have no pass rush because of that guy they got rid of. I keep forgetting, what's his name?
Parsons.
It always slips the mind.
Jim Parsons?
Jim Parsons. They got rid of Jim Parsons on the D. So they have no pass rush. They have no cornerbacks. I mean, Dallas, again, it's like Deron Bland's hurt.
Although Jerry said he might play.
If you're not 100%,
he might have been in a haze when he said that, but
if you're not 100% as a cornerback, it doesn't really move me if you play. You know what I mean? Sometimes that's a downside, but he's not 100. But even then, Trevon Diggs is not 100%. Trevon Revell is doing nothing for them. They have no cornerbacks, and that's how Russell Wilson throws for 454 yards. The flip side is the Bears. Jalen Johnson, who's their best cornerback, is out for the season. They had the other linebacker they have, who now I'm blanking on, is that T.J. Edwards got hurt.
Gordon's out too.
Yeah, Kyler Gordon's out, who's like a sneaky underrated safety. Like the Bears secondary is the strength of the team. Half the secondary that is the strength is out. So I'm like, both these defenses kind of suck, is my point. The difference to me is the Dallas offense is second in the NFL in success rate, and the Bears are second to last in success rate. So why? I don't know. I'm just like, if this is going to be a shootout, maybe it'll be a little rainy in the morning, but I think
you didn't even mention, I think, the Cowboys' biggest advantage: special teams.
Yeah.
Brandon Aubrey versus Cairo Santos is like the biggest mismatch in the kicking game. And an underrated part of this, I think it looks like Turpin's going to play. The Bears' punt unit is bad. And I think so keep an eye on it because they got a punt blocked. They had punt coverage issues in that first game against Minnesota. They do a lot of punting, so that's a bit of a problem for them.
Well, have you seen Caleb Williams? So the Bears, when they drafted Caleb Williams, then they took Rome Odunze. And they used a 4th-round pick or whatever on a punter from Iowa, who actually is one of the best punters in college football history. And Caleb Williams texted him on draft day, "Don't worry, you won't be punting that much." And since Caleb Williams sent that text, Torrey Taylor has the most punts in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? He was just, look, it's a good thing they got the Iowa punter because they needed to get the most experienced punter. They know his leg will hold up the whole season. But the coverage unit is bad. The blocking unit is bad. So like the whole operation, now they go up against Turpin. Like you never know. Punt returns are random a lot of times, but
the Dallas won a game last year because of Turpin. The Washington, Jaden Daniels led a comeback versus Dallas. Turpin had that crazy, he fumbled the ball and then picked it up and literally kick return almost like a walk-off touchdown.
Right. So huge advantage for Dallas. And look, why do I think the market's slow to catch up to how good Dak Prescott's playing football. This is also in the total. The total was 48.5. Got bet up to 50.5.
What does that mean? Who is the market? What do you mean they're slow to catch up to Dak Prescott? I don't understand that.
Dallas. Why? Look, I haven't understood it either. Why was Dallas 8.5 on opening night? Didn't make sense to me.
It's because we didn't know the Eagles were going to suck.
We have a large sample of the Dallas Cowboys offense with Dak Prescott. And outside of 6 bad games last year at the beginning of the season, they've been consistently a top 10, top 8 offense when he's been back there. Caleb Williams, they've scored both of their opening scripted drives and then basically didn't score again until they were down 10 plus in the fourth quarter of both games. So maybe he'll prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll lose, but I'm happy to ride with Dallas. I'll lay the 1.5 too. I think Dallas team total might be a good way to play this too. If you think that the Chicago defense is irredeemable with its current injuries, which it kind of feels like it is.
I also just think the same reason that I don't understand the line, like the over-under. I don't know why we can't do over-unders in the Ringer 107. I think I don't know why Bill hates
we'd be
over-unders.
6-4 if not 4-6.
I think that the origin is when Bill started gambling in college in the 90s. It was just harder to do the math on over-unders, and it was like, oh man, you got to pull up all the other games. That's hard. Like, where are you gonna get these box scores from 6 weeks ago? But I gotta say, the over-under, this game's I don't think I'm wrong. 50?
50.
Are the Cowboys going to put up less than 30? I would like the over-under on that. Maybe I'm a simpleton, but I'm like, give me Cowboys, giving 1.5 and give me the over, and I'm like, that's a good day to me. So
yeah, we haven't seen what Schottenheimer does with the lead yet. That's always one thing that you have to learn about these newer coaches is what do their philosophies become in game states where, like, let's say Dallas is up 10, because we've seen Dallas from behind. We've seen Dallas. They like to play up tempo. Dak, they like to throw the ball down the field. Like, they're an over-based team. Everybody in the NFL only throws checkdowns now. That does not apply to Dak Prescott. So
Dak throws hospital balls down the seam. Doesn't matter what's going on.
Exactly. I mean, you better have linebackers who can cover. Good thing the Bears have TJ Edwards. No, they don't. This week.
Yeah, we're on the same page so far. So the next one,
I don't know if I should be scared by that or happy by that. I haven't decided yet.
I think you should be scared.
You guys are ahead of us, by the way, in the standings. So we have no room to talk. I mean, Baltimore week 1, Arizona week 2.
Daniel Jones is 2-0 and Patrick Mahomes is 0-2. I don't know if the 2-week standings mean anything. The next one, all right, so this one you sent me, and I was surprised. You have the Jets are playing the Bucks this week, so the Jets are 0-2, Bucks are 2-0. Tampa's favored by 6.5. You and Sal have the Jets. Get it with Tyrod Taylor. Justin Fields is out with the concussion. Tyrod Taylor's the starter. You have the Jets. Do you want to? Sal's not here. Do you want to just throw him under the bus and be like, this is one of Sal's picks, or are you going to take responsibility?
I will say this is one of Sal's picks. I don't hate it. I have not bet it myself.
That's something people say when they kind of hate it, though.
I don't hate it. No, okay. I think the Bucks are a little over. I think the Bucks are a little overrated. But I mean, betting against Baker Mayfield has been a poor endeavor for his haters for multiple years now. I'm really impressed. First of all, the Bucks O-line injuries are getting ridiculous, but they seem to be able to scheme around it consistently, and that's one thing. That's the main difference.
I'm going to take a moment to run through this because it's worth. I think this is when the Bucks were the worst rushing team in the NFL, and then they fixed their O-line and they became one of the best. But now Bucks are already missing Tristan Wirfs, who's their left tackle, is one of the best in the league with a knee injury. Luke Gedeke, the right tackle, is on injured reserve with a foot injury after last week. Cody Mauch, the right guard, is out for the season with a knee injury. So that's both tackles and a guard. They're moving their center, Graham Barton, to left tackle, which you never hear that. The left guard, Ben Bredeson's going to play center. Mike Jordan's going to start playing left guard, the other Mike Jordan. I know what you're thinking. You'll be like, wow, he went from the UNC game to left guard, but not really. And then also Emeka Egbuka has a leg injury that, we'll see, but he slowed him down in the middle of the game. And also Baker Mayfield has a toe injury that I do think is slowing him down. So you have Baker Mayfield's like 70-80% as fast as he usually is behind this awful offensive line. And I'm like, I thought that Texans defense is way better, but I thought the Bucks offense became a lot simpler once the offensive line injuries happened. So is that as simple as to you as like, this is too many points for a team that shifted their entire offensive line? Is that the beginning and end of it?
Yes. And it's funny because you mentioned Michael Jordan. He was not at practice yesterday. Nobody knows why, but he wasn't there. So
the basketball player or the football player?
Both. Yeah, he's continuing his football tour. They might need Michael Jordan, the basketball player, to play left guard at this point. The way this is going,
he was a good guard.
He was, and pull up from the left elbow. Yeah, but this is similar to last year for me. So the Bucks started 2-0 last year, and then they were a 6-point favorite against a team called the Denver Broncos that nobody really believed in, and then Denver whooped them in game 3. I mean, it fits all the narratives, right? The old school sharp thing of like 0-2 team versus 2-0 team, 2-0 team who's kind of been a little lucky. Let's be honest, like they were outplayed by Atlanta. Some of it was their red zone defense, but Houston also like shit on themselves multiple times in Tampa Bay territory last week. So that all plays into this. Also, are we sure that Tyrod Taylor is worse than Justin Fields?
I feel that way too. I'm like, Fields, Tyrod Taylor. First of all, him and Baker. There's a couple things going on. Tyrod Taylor and Baker Mayfield were together on the 2018 Browns, and Tyrod Taylor got concussed and Baker came in. Also, Todd Bowles for the Bucks obviously was the Jets coach. But I agree. Like Tyrod Taylor, in terms of just moving the chains, I have way more confidence after Justin Fields had 20 passing yards last week or whatever.
Right. Like when the Jets fall behind with Justin Fields, they're drawing kind of dead.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to run the ball in Tampa anyway. Like Vita Vea is the best run stopper I think I've ever seen. I mean, their goal line defense for like 5 years has been unbelievable. And I keep saying regression. They can't sustain these incredible red zone numbers. And then they do it every year because you can't run it because they have Vita Vea. And so you can't run it on the Bucs. You're going to have to be able to do quick passing, get the ball out, take advantage of the blitzes that Bowles brings and get the ball out. I don't think Fields is the person I want doing that anyway, especially if he's not going to be able to scramble because of the injury. So with Taylor in there, we know Tyrod's not going to turn the ball over. He's not going to take a ton of risk. He's just going to kind of play within himself, and there's not going to be a lot of excitement from this offense. But is it enough to stay within 6.5? I think the answer is yes.
Should we honor Sal's memory and anoint the Bucs as the new losing at halftime, going to win the game team?
They could be that because of the Baker last-minute drive thing.
Yeah, maybe we just anoint them. Maybe we'll just make.
I mean, the Steelers are looking a little washed at that strategy.
So, all right, that all makes sense. It's like at the end of the day, any team, I don't care how good you are, when you swap literally every starter on offensive line, you're like, oh yeah, that's a good reason to look different.
It's a bit of and they're laying 6.5 in an NFL game. Yeah.
The next one here, the Rams are at the Eagles this week. Both teams are 2-0. Obviously, the Eagles beat the Rams in the playoffs last year, and the whole game really came down to the final drive. And honestly, Matt Stafford had a guy in the end zone open to win the game in the snow, and Jalen Carter just completely blew up the play, blew up the whole drive. And the Rams lost 2 fumbles in the fourth quarter, but the game was close. Where did you net out on Rams Eagles?
I lean with the Rams, so I was not surprised when Sal bet it, but we're going with, as a team, the Rams plus 3.5. Now, I bet under here. I like under a little more, but what I will say is there's a few things that I think are under the radar, though one of them is not under the radar anymore. But it's like, what if they do get called for a false start on a 4th and 1? Just one.
Go 4th and 1 to 4th and 6, and then suddenly you're like, oh.
Because they're like, oh, well, and like,
and the
Eagles
punter's
fans,
like, I don't even know where my helmet is. I haven't done this in years. And you're like, oh my God.
And Eagles fans are like, oh, but they go off sides too. The difference in penalty for giving up 5 yards on a 4th and 1, when you're not going to stop the play anyway.
Yes.
Or 4th and 1 when you get a false start and now you're literally punting because it's 4th and 6 or kicking a field goal is so massive. And I think it has an underrated impact in this kind of game because we know the league is going to be looking into it. They looked into it on Monday with the Chargers when they did it from their own 1 yard line. So that's part of it. The other part of this is the Rams stink in short yardage situations.
Yes.
It was one of the underrated reasons they lost that playoff game is because they had 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and they could not convert. Stafford's immobile.
And they can't do the tush push with Stafford because they're worried that if they touch his back, he's going to basically not be able to walk anymore.
Right, exactly. He'll throw it out, getting pushed over the line. So, yeah, I mean, those little things, those little margins, I think make a huge difference. And then there's all this Eagles passing game stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's funny. Well, I was going to ask you about that in a second. I will say the ESPN had this good stat that every now and then it's worth reminding why we talk about the tush push so much. The Eagles since 2022 have converted the tush push on 4th and 1 97% of the time, which is just every now and then you're like, oh yeah, right. This is why we talk about it so much. They just solved football. That's unbelievable.
1st and 9.
It is literally 1st and 9. Now what's funny is 9. The Eagles
have never sound like a big difference. That's 10% of the yards.
But they've never made it look harder to get the 9 yard. You think 10%? You think that's 10%?
I think that's 10%. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There you go. You're the numbers guy. I don't know. I will. The Eagles' offense to me has looked the way I described it to Craig and DK the other day in the fantasy shows. It's like a Batmobile, and then you get in the seat and you can't start the engine. It's like everything about this Eagles offense is so cool, so sleek, so unbelievable and staggering. And then you watch it and you're like, this doesn't really move. That's kind of weird. Like, where are you at on the Eagles? Jalen Hurts having no passes beyond 6 yards for like the first 50 minutes of that game or whatever. Do you basically, are you worried at all, or do you think it's going to be fine?
I made this joke to a friend because we're in a men's league softball together on Monday nights. There's this one guy in the league, and he's like a tall looking athletic dude. He's got the batting gloves. He's got the like baseball damn near whole uniform on. Yeah, he's got every accessory known to man. And then he gets up there and he has the worst swing you've ever seen. And it's like a little swinging bunt down the third base line when he makes contact. And that's the Eagles offense to me. Like look, they're talking about turnover prevention, and it goes back to the top of the show with like the Dolphins and the Bills. We've talked about this for a few years now with the Eagles, going back to last year, week 4, when they were like, screw it, we're just going to become this running team who occasionally throws deep balls to AJ Brown and Devontae. And now they're not even doing that. They've done it twice in 2 weeks. It's crazy. One of them was to Mechie. I'm kind of confused because how is it that this is 4 different iterations of Eagles offense and 3 different coordinators, and the coordinator's the one getting all the blame?
Well, it's kind of like Mike Tomlin, where every year the Steelers offense sucks and everyone's like, oh my God, blame the offensive coordinator as if the head coach is not the boss of the coordinator. And you're basically saying, why doesn't Sirianni get any flack when it's like kind of Sirianni's the head coach?
And he is, by the way, an offensive guy.
Do you think it's because he's
coordinator before he was a coach?
Do you think it might be because the best winning percentages in the history of the NFL are John Madden 1 and then Nick Sirianni 2?
Does that bother you as a Giants fan? Where are you on?
No,
Sirianni?
I don't feel any. Where am I in Sirianni? I actually don't even care anymore. The Eagles I hated more
I don't
than
care
Cowboys
either.
or Washington, but the Giants are. I think the Giants are like 1-19 versus the last 20 Cowboys games. I think the Giants are 2-18 the last 20 Eagles games, and one of those the Eagles were desperately trying to lose and couldn't. And so I don't know. The Giants should probably be competitive before I start caring anymore. Whatever, man. I'm dead inside. We took the Rams in this game too, which I think is like the stupidest possible thing. I can't imagine anything dumber than betting against the Eagles. But also, I don't know.
But that's not true though. That they didn't cover week 1.
That's the thing. I'm kind of like, you know what? The Eagles are going to win.
Are they the new Chiefs? Have they taken the Chiefs' mantle for winning?
Kind of. Yeah, I kind of think so. And so it
no
hurts
explosiveness. I mean, we know it's in there, and that's the one thing, right? Like, I hope the Rams go up 7-0. Not just because we bet the Rams, but because, like, can we see the Eagles losing a game for like a brief period of time? And then see what this offense looks like. Because if it's still the same garbage, then you have to like push the alarm button. But if it's like, oh, they're up 3 the entire game, their defense is really good, they're just grinding away, and then Stafford's going to get the ball with 3 minutes left, down 3, and then he's going to try to lead a comeback.
We're only going to see it if the Rams stop Saquon, because the reality is both the regular season and the playoffs, Saquon just completely changed both games, and Saquon just and again, the Eagles are. They're not going to give, like, I'm sure they're going to be mad about the tush push stuff, but realistically, they're going to give Saquon the chance to run for 200 yards. And when the Rams prove they can stop that, then Jalen Hurts will, and only then will he have to throw.
I will say one more quick note. Last time these two teams played, I can't remember the last time I watched an Eagles game and was like, whoa, the O-line's kind of getting beat here. That's how I felt watching Rams Eagles in the divisional round. And I know the weather was weird, but Saquon had a couple big runs. He broke open late, but the defensive line won that.
The physicality with the Rams is they're one of the few teams that have brought it and matched it.
Jared Verse talked shit and then backed it up. I know he's a Philly area guy, so
it's in the blood. It's in your whatever's wrong with your culture. All right, today's Ringer 107 is brought to you by FanDuel. Odds subject to change. And the Ringer Gambling Show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is turning up the heat every Sunday with Power Hour, the ultimate live betting window where the action is wild and the rewards are even better. Here's how it works. Every Sunday from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern, FanDuel is giving you a profit boost to use on live bets during the most intense stretch of the NFL slate. This is when games flip, underdogs rally, parlays hit. It's your Power Hour on FanDuel. We were just saying, Dabbundo, I mean, I just think the Rams-Eagles, that's a game that I mean, I don't know if the Eagles are going to beat anyone by 20 points this year. That's an actual quality team. I just think Rams-Eagles is going to come down to the wire again, like the playoff game did. And I also really do think the Cowboys-Bears game is going to be kind of a shootout that is close in the fourth quarter. That one, maybe twice as many points in that game. Open the FanDuel app between 3 and 5 p.m. Eastern. Claim your profit boost and make your move while the action unfolds every Sunday only on FanDuel. Head to FanDuel.com/gamblers to get started. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost. Tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Okay, Dabbundo, I want to go through some of the other games.
What do you guys got?
Yeah, so we picked. So fantasy show, we're doing 107 too. And again, we're just competing with all the other shows. We are beating you guys. So we have two ones the same as you. We didn't have as strong takes on this week. So if we win, frankly, we got a little lucky. I wanted the Cowboys really strongly. We also took the Rams getting 3.5. The other ones we threw in, the one I looked at immediately and was like, yes, please, was the Texans, who I believe they're still getting points versus Jacksonville, which I find amazing.
Yeah.
to me, it's really simple. I understand the problem with Houston. Like their offensive line is bad. And so they can't, everything's around that. I think Texans have 4 first downs on the whole, or sorry, they've converted 4 third downs on the whole year. I get it. The defense is so good and so much better than anything Jacksonville's dealt with 2 of the 3 or 4 worst defenses in the NFL so far, Cincinnati and Carolina. And now they're going with one of the 3 or 4 best defenses. And I'm like, that so overcomes to me whatever issues I have with the Jags or with the Texans offensive line, where I'm like, I think the Texans are going to beat Jacksonville.
I lean that way. I generally agree. I have like a crusade against this Texans team too. The Texans and the Broncos, like their fan bases don't like me. They think I'm a hater. That's fine. But I go back to week 1, what I said about the Texans, and week 2, what I said about the Texans. I bet the under in week 1. It was my wise wager on the Sunday show. We cashed with relative ease. I bet the under in week 2, Texans Bucks. It was a little dicey in the first half, but then nobody scored for the entirety of the game until the final minute. And it went. And so I said, all right, if it's not broken, I'm not going to try to overthink this. I'm going back to the well. So I took under 44 here. I agree with all the points you made about the Jags offense. I mean, great. You ran it on Carolina. Woo. Should we throw a party? Like Jake Browning.
Who gave up the most points in the history of the NFL last year, Carolina.
Right. And doesn't look much better this year. They were down 27-3 in the third quarter against an Arizona team that has not looked great on offense. And then now they play Houston, who, again, I still have rated as the #1 defense in the NFL. So all of that, good luck to Jacksonville.
They're getting points. I can't believe it. I'm like, what? Is the Jacksonville offensive line so much better than Houston's?
I came into the season so low on Houston relative to them. Like I bet they're under, and I couldn't pick anybody. I didn't know who to pick to win the South. So I just was like, I thought the division winner could be 8 and 9. And my numbers say that Houston should be a favorite here.
I agree. This is a real stress test for Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. Also, we're not getting into the weird vibes like Brian Thomas, like a wrist.
Is he hurt? Yeah.
Well, it's a wrist injury. They're saying that wasn't on the report, but also there's Trevor Lawrence hospital balls. Brian Thomas not laying out.
Hospital balls. Are we overusing this term now?
Yeah, probably, because it's the NFL. They don't actually send players to the hospital. They give them smelling salts that they had to bring themselves because the NFL won't pay for them anymore. And they're like, get back in the game, son.
But that's the thing, right? So we get mad when everybody always checks it down, but then we crucify the quarterbacks who throw the hospital balls. So what are they supposed to do?
Nowhere. It's because we want to be angry, and that's the only way to feel fulfilled. No one wants to be happy about anything.
That's true.
That's why we can't get rid of referees in any sport, because once there's objective, what are we going to get mad at? So anyway, that's a different conversation. I just kind of think Derek Stingley to me is the best cornerback in the NFL right now. There's no question. And now that
wow.
Well, no, I'm saying literally at this moment, Patrick Surtain is talking to like yesterday about how, I had an ankle injury. It didn't play that well Sunday. Well, until I see him without the ankle injury, Derek Stingley is out here just going tit for tat with Mike Evans and looking maybe a little better than Mike Evans. Like there's only 3 cornerbacks that shadow anyway. Stingley's one of them. So I'm like, Brian Thomas, I don't think this is going to be the week for Brian Thomas. We'll see. If the Jacksonville Jaguars do, I'll be impressed. And Liam, it's a big week, but I'm like, I just think this is like a shocking place to get points for Texas. So we picked this one. The other one I picked was staying in the AFC South was the Colts, undefeated 2-0 versus the Titans 0-2. This could also be a classic. Titans pull out the game. I know we're probably stupid.
Sharp.
Yeah, we're probably stupid for laying 4.5 points with Daniel Jones, but we're like, you know what? Just ride the wave. It's not like anyone is out here being like banging the drum. The Colts are for real. Everyone kind of doesn't believe it, and we're like, oh, just roll with it, because I like Cam Ward a lot. I think he'll be a good pro, but I'm like, until we see him. Like, he's still taking a ton of sacks. He's still putting the ball, like, he's making cool highlights. But a stat from Rich Rebar at Warren Sharp Football, which was an awesome stat. Rich Rebar has awesome previews. And he said Titans have the worst penalty margin in the NFL, the worst sack margin in the NFL, and the Titans have averaged the longest third downs in the NFL. The Titans' average third down is 3rd and 10. The Colts have the shortest average third down. It's 3rd and 5. And I know that isn't necessarily going to hold, but I was like, you know what, man? Like, I kind of just want to grab, like, this line is like a rookie quarterback in a division. The Colts defense is really real with Lou Anarumo and everything. And I'm like,
we'll see.
We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked if the Titans win, but we took it because we were like, screw it. I'll be honest. This was kind of the last game we chose. We didn't
look. I mean, betting on the NFL is easy. Bet on Dan Campbell. Bet against Brian Callahan.
Bet on the
All you have to do.
Bet on Daniel Jones. That's what
bet
I
on
will
Daniel
say.
Jones.
The Titans.
Callahan is 3-17 against the spread. Do you know how hard that is? It is so hard. And I know I came in and was like,
the opposite of the tush push.
I think the Titans could get to 6 wins this year, but the market is so quick to adjust now, and they still went 3-17 against the spread. And you know, I was a fool. I bet them last week, but Not in this, but in with the U.S. currency, I wagered dollars on the Titans. And for 3 quarters, they were right there. Down 4, had the ball. But here's the thing. Zeitler's, he was limited Thursday, and Latham hasn't practiced all week, so the O-line is still cooked. L'Jarius Sneed is back to the milk carton. He's injured again and did not practice all week. So this injury report is ugly. Meanwhile, Indy, it looks like, is going to get Latu and Ward back, which is really important for their defense.
Here's my thing with Callahan. I'm not going to knock him for being an Nepo baby because, for being honest, some of the best coaches ever were Nepo babies. Kyle Shanahan is great because his dad was a coach. Sean McVay is great because his grandfather was the GM of the Niners. There's nothing wrong being a Nepo baby. My issue with question with Brian Callahan was always the background, where they're like, and again, I'm not questioning his like football X's and O's or whatever, but his background was the Peyton Manning Broncos to the Matt Stafford Lions and then the Joe Burrow Bengals. And the thing I always wondered was how much help did those guys really need? You know, like how much, no, not a knock against Brian Callahan, but I'm like, that seems like.
Sounds like a knock against Brian Callahan.
Some set and forget situations. And I feel like the first time he really is truly dealing with like a real, like, oh my God, like this is a problem situation. He's going to be his head coach.
This brother needs help. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's not really, I don't know. It's like, this Peyton Manning in 2014 really asking Brian Callahan for help? I'm like, I don't know. Is Matt Stafford?
Peyton has gone to bat for him. Peyton was trying to get him the Indy job.
Peyton went to bat for Nate Hackett because Nate Hackett was a bobblehead and Peyton Manning was like brilliant offensive mind. He should totally be Peyton will just say anything for the guys who he coached for him because they worked for Peyton. Right. Exactly. So anyway, right. I'm just, I don't
Callahan. Disagree with you. I'm not betting the Titans, but I couldn't lay 4.5 here with Dimes either.
I also think in this game, Calvin Ridley 50+ receiving yards is one of the better props of the week. I think he's got like a third of the target share versus zone coverage. The Colts are going to run a ton of cover 3. Getting targets. I think if you at all think the Titans might win this game, or even lose, honestly, I think Calvin Ridley plus 50+ yards is a great prop this week.
Well, just find out whoever's, I mean, if, FanDuel, you can live bet these games now. Wait, see who's going to be lined up consistently against Xavier Howard if he's out there, and then bet him. I mean, one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen by a defensive back last week. I think he had 4 penalties on one drive. He went with who was the Giants tackle? Hudson.
Oh, James Hudson. Oh my God, with the 4 penalties.
He had 4 in one drive. And then Xavier Howard, it went under the radar because he didn't have the one where he like punched the player, but he didn't have a highlight penalty. But he got called for 4 penalties on one drive. The Broncos just walked down the field. That didn't happen
in like 100. That didn't happen in like decades.
It happened twice in an hour.
It's insane. I will say Xavier Howard. It's also the other thing. He's 32 years old. There are no 32-year-old quarterbacks in the NFL. I think there's literally like 5. Like those guys
might be the last one.
The age curve at every position in the NFL has completely changed in every sport. Like you got Djokovic, you got Brady, you got LeBron. Cornerback hasn't changed at all. 30 and you're fucking dust. Like it literally hasn't. Nothing about cornerback has changed along with every other position. That's a good call. Okay, so I also
we did my team. Now we have to do your team.
Yeah, the Sunday Night Football. God, again, Chiefs are 0-2 versus the Giants are at the Giants are 0-2. It's Sunday Night Football. We took the Chiefs favored by 5.5. I know we took the cheese. I know we took the cheese. I know. It's a dumb bet. It's a dumb. I get it. Like the Chiefs barely score. They can't beat anyone by a touchdown. Why would you bet the Chiefs to basically beat someone by a touchdown? The Giants just look good. To me, it's 2 parts. And I understand this is stupid. However, I think the Giants' performance last week is totally fake and significantly more indicative of Dallas's defense than New York's offense. I don't really believe anything that happened for the Giants on offense last week as being repeatable.
Neighbors is good, I think.
Well, yeah, no, sorry. Neighbors is incredible. He's the man. I mean, the
Chiefs
touchdown he had where they were trying to block his eyes and he caught, like, Neighbors is the truth. Russell Wilson, I think that was like the last great performance of Russell Wilson's career. I just don't think that will ever happen again, to be honest. And I understand that there are fun fact, there are 3 teams in the NFL that have not run a single play while winning the game this season. The Saints, the Panthers, and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, wow. That's right. So, the Giants did lead early.
No, they led. So here's, I guess, in a nutshell, I'm not even saying this is good advice or good logic, but it's the logic we use to justify taking the Chiefs. Travis Kelce has screwed up 2 plays that would have made the Chiefs 2-0. He was on the wrong page with Mahomes, and Mahomes was correct, and Kelce was wrong about a throw at the goal line that should have been a touchdown. And Kelce stopped running, and Mahomes wanted to keep running. And if Kelce caught that, the Chiefs probably beat the Chargers on Friday night. Kelce also dropped a touchdown that bounced off his face into Andrew Makuba's hands that Makuba returned 60 yards, and the Eagles scored. And what did the Chiefs lose by? 4? What was the score? What was the final score of Eagles Chiefs? I blocked it out of my mind.
3.
3.
Right? 3.
Like
20 to
that
17.
flip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if Kelsey catches that touchdown, the Chiefs probably win that game too. And so all I say is if Travis Kelsey catches 2 balls, the Chiefs are 2-0, and we're not worried about any of this. And so
it was the biggest lost EPA play of the entire season.
And it might stay that way. And so
because they were on the one, they essentially gave up a touchdown off of it. Yeah.
It's a Kadarius Toney play from like 2 years ago when in the opener versus the Lions, he like dropped the ball and picked 6 that should have been a first down, and a game they lose by 1 point. Anyway, I just kind of think if those 2 plays went differently, we wouldn't be thinking, and so we just grabbed the points. And I get the Chiefs can't run all this stuff. We'll hear about it all Sunday night. People don't. Although wait, before in Sal's memory, R.I.P. to Sal. Are you going to do the Collinsworth or am I?
You could do it.
Oh God, I've never. Man, all right.
I'll tell you what, Mike. This Patrick Mahomes, he looks like he's back in good form this week.
People say 0-2 is a problem, Mike. Not for this guy. Come on. These other 0-2 teams, they didn't have Patrick Mahomes, Mike.
That's pretty good. You found it at the end there.
I did.
The early one was a little too like crackly at the beginning.
Yeah. We'll work on it. Yeah. That's. I mean, Sal's never coming back, so we have all season to work on it. I also just think Mahomes rushing touchdown is a good bet this week. Mahomes actually told Brady in those pre-production meetings that are both not giving away state secrets, but I also am just mad that Brady can be in them. But Mahomes is scrambling double his career rate. It went from 1 out of 13 times to 1 out of 6 dropbacks. He's scrambling. And he kind of just admitted, it's because the only way to get yards. I'm like, I think Mahomes rushing touchdown, the way that later in the season, the playoffs, it's like a great value. I think that value is now where the
This is kind of like a playoff game.
Yes, exactly. It is a playoff game for them. It's like 0-2 versus 0-3. 0-2 is like, oh, you can do it. 0-3 is like it's 6 times a team has ever made the playoffs from 0-3. I know it's a little different.
The Chiefs
now
would be the 7th.
Yeah,
they'll be the somehow.
But I know that's a little different because it's like 16. It's like they added playoff spots. But overall, the Chiefs are not. We're like laissez-faire. Like, this game doesn't matter on Sunday Night Football to go 1-3. Like, this is the most adversity they've had in the Chiefs haven't been this bad in 10 years. None of the players on this team have struggled. So anyway, I think the Chiefs are going to win, and I don't mind laying the points.
We talked about this on before the first week, Wild Bet Wednesday. Sal House and I said Mahomes is 6-1 to score. They can't run it, and they need him in the red zone. I bet it hit, and then I didn't bet it in week 2, and he hit again. Now he's down to plus 360, but they're
just do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a couple other games I want to ask you about as we go through here. First of all, Monday Night Football. I mean, this is the best game of the week. His Lions are at the Ravens. The Ravens are favored by 5.5.
I think Rams Eagles is more interesting to me.
That's fair. I just feel like Ravens and Lions.
Best game to watch, probably Lions Ravens. Yeah.
I was gonna say the Eagles. Have you enjoyed watching the Eagles this year?
I did because I bet Dallas plus 8.5 week 1, and I bet the under in week 2. So I've enjoyed that part of it. But the game itself, as a football fan, no.
Awful.
As a football fan, no. As a gamer, yes.
I'm going to go out on a limb here with a controversial hot take and say I'm more excited for Lions Ravens. And it's weird to see the Ravens favored by 5.5, and then you're like, oh yeah, the last time they played 2 years ago it was 38-6.
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on with these teams, but to me, it's kind of this simple. It's like the Lions play basically about as much man coverage as anyone in the NFL, and Lamar Jackson destroys man coverage because he's Lamar Jackson, and if cornerbacks turn his back to them, he's going to run. But you're kind of so it's either the Lions either play man coverage and get shredded, or do something they're not used to doing that much. Is there a world? Well, first of all, would you take Lions with if I made you bet on this game, call it Ringer 108, made you bet on this? Would you take Ravens laying almost a touchdown? Or would you take the Lions getting 5.5 points?
I would lay it with Baltimore.
So with that said, do you think it makes more sense to just take money line for the Lions or whatever, or should we? The alt spread on this for the Ravens to win by 14 is like 3-1.
Mm-hmm. What if I could convince you of a minus 110 bet that I really love that is not anything involving the spread or the winner of the game? Ravens to score 30 is minus 110.
I love that. Oh my God, yeah, dude. I think there's a lot of it.
They score 30 every game.
They literally scored 40.
Even when Cleveland kind of tamped them, like we'll get to Cleveland. Cleveland's defense did a really nice job last week against Baltimore, and then Flacco kind of gave away some points. But you mentioned the running thing. I think that's the biggest difference. I mean, you go back to 2 years ago when these two teams did meet. They're running a little less man without Glenn, but it's still in the top 10 in the league.
It's 50% last week. I mean, that's a ton.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted, okay, I like that. I think I kind of want to I guess you can't parlay all this stuff together, but I think I agree. Ravens to score 30. I mean, literally, they would be the first team in NFL history to score 40 points in the first 3 games. Lamar is almost 2-1 to score a touchdown. I kind of love that if the Lions are going to play so much man. He scored a touchdown last time they played. Lamar to score 2 touchdowns, 14-1. Lamar is almost 2-1 to have 250 passing yards. I kind of think it's going to be a shootout. Lamar's rushing over under is 42 yards. And the Lamar for longest completion over 37.5. I like all those.
I'm a little worried. Like, where's the Lions pass rush? Like, isn't it supposed to be good?
Yeah.
Hasn't been very good.
On top of it, there's no quarterback that is... The pressure doesn't necessarily translate to sacks with Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? So but I totally...
If anything, pressuring him might be bad because then he just runs for 30 yards anyway.
That's what the Lions are doing. They're way ahead of you. You know, they're like, what?
Yeah.
You know, just not even going to get pressure.
Not even going to bother. But yeah, I mean,
I
think the Ravens score plenty.
Okay, so maybe we'll parlay some of those together. We'll see what's doable. But there you go, FanDuel. Get the same game parlays going. The other one I want to ask you about, Green Bay is 2-0, playing the Browns are 0-2. Green Bay's had 10 days to prepare for Cleveland. If this was 3 weeks from now, wouldn't this line be like 10 or 11?
Probably not. I mean, Baltimore closed. I know they won the game by 30, but Baltimore closed, 11 last week at home against Cleveland? If you flipped home field here, Green Bay would be 10. Okay. So the market is essentially saying that Green Bay is the second best team in the NFL because the market says that Baltimore is the best team in the league. It's like Green Bay, Buffalo, Baltimore are in their own tier right now in the market ratings.
Are we really giving the Browns that many points for home field advantage in 2025?
Yeah, the Browns defense at home is a wagon, though. It's a good defense.
Yeah, they played great, and then they lost by 24. I guess it's just the Packers look like the best
Joe
team in the
Flacco
league.
had a bunch of turnovers there. Like it was the Ravens only had like 230 yards.
I don't know, man. The Packers. So you're saying, so the Packers, I feel like they looked like the best team in the league.
Yes.
Thursday Night Football, they didn't have Zach Thomas
for sure.
They didn't have Zach Thomas at right tackle. They didn't have Aaron Banks at left guard. Those guys are back. I understand that Jaden Reed is out with the broken collarbone. I understand Tucker Kraft was hurt, and then now he's not hurt or whatever. I don't know I do not know what's going on with Tucker Kraft. I get that there's some change-ups with the Green Bay offense. And I understand the Cleveland run defense has been phenomenal. Derrick Henry had, 12 yards? Something crazy? Or 20 yards or something?
Imagine I told you before the game that Derrick Henry's going to have 23 yards rushing. Lamar Jackson's going to have 13 yards rushing. And the Ravens are only going to have 242 yards of offense.
And they won by 24. So,
right.
So,
what's more
impactful
to me? What matters more to me, like terms of projecting forward? I think the answer is uncertain. Certainly.
So, who would you take? In this
Joe Flacco had multiple interceptions that gave them free touchdowns at the end of the game.
So, who would you take? Would you take Browns getting 7.5?
If I had to take the points, I would take. If I had to make a bet on the side, I would take Cleveland. Yes.
So at that point,
this to me is the classic. I loved Green Bay entering the season. I bet Green Bay week 1 and 2, and yet. Now I'm like, wait, really? Over a touchdown on the road?
Would you stare at the Browns money line at 3-1? The plus 320.
It is a pretty high variance approach that Joe's rolling out with. The only scary thing for me is if Gabriel does come in here, then I want no part of Cleveland.
I don't know if that's going to happen in week 3. I feel like in the middle of week 3 is kind of tough. I guess my question is if the Browns, if you feel that way, part of me is Browns plus 320. I don't know what your approach is to live betting, but part of me is would you just grab Browns plus 320, Browns plus 7.5, and then see if they get a touchdown lead and then just hedge and just bet the Packers and see if you can come out on top. Mac, Mac from It's Always Sunny. I'm playing both sides.
I'm not dying to bet this game, like I said. Maybe under. But then again, there's the Flacco risk of him just throwing the ball to the other team is there once they fall behind.
I just think Micah Parsons is playing against Myles Garrett, and the way I said it on the fantasy show was that succession line. Sometimes life is just a big measuring contest, and I'm like, Micah Parsons it's his first. He's had 10 days. This is the first time he's had full practice with the Packers. It's probably the first time we're gonna get full scale Parsons, and I'm like, I just think I don't know. You're right. I see what you're saying. The Browns' run defense is underrated in all the right ways. I just kind of keep coming back.
Love is also not infallible. He's prone to make mistakes, and they rely on a lot of deep passing and And
I don't know who the Packers are beating. Browns play a ton of man coverage too, and the Packers don't have a Devontae Adams-esque man coverage beater, so that's probably fair too. Okay, all right, so let's not bet it then. I have one more I really want to ask you about. Falcons are at the Panthers. Atlanta's favored by 5.5, and I'm like, so let me get this straight. The Panthers have looked horrific, and then now the Panthers have their center Austin Corbett and their right guard Robert Hunter on injured reserve. The whole Bryce Young's career, in some ways, was defined by interior. He's I mean, Mina Kimes was Sal's guest on the show last week, and Mina Kimes is not that much shorter than Bryce Young. And so the whole issue with
the famous photo.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
and
tough
it's
one.
like, no offense to Mina, but like, you know what? I've said it to Mina's face. Like, yeah, you know what? She can downplay it, but it really sticks in your head. And I'm just saying, when the Panthers lose their interior line now is going from Robert Hunt, who's making $20 million a year or whatever, to now it's going to be Chandler Zavala and Cade Mays. And I'm like, the Falcons' defensive line is the best they've had in 12 years.
Maybe.
How
many good? How many? They got. I mean,
it was
talk
against
about a
the
team
Vikings
that's running
line.
good.
Yeah, it was against the Vikings
without
line.
Darisaw,
who's
and the
banged
backup
up.
got hurt, and he was
That's
bad
my
too.
point. All the backup Vikings linemen got rocked. These are all Panthers backup linemen. I know
Yeah.
it's guards, not tackles. That is a difference. However, I'm just saying it's a new center. It's a new right guard. Those are kind of the two biggest strengths on the line.
And they
I'm
can't
like,
run it without.
And they
him.
can't. I don't know. I kind of think I know it's a little weird to look at Michael Penix and be like, I'm gonna bet him to win by 5.5. It's a weird number.
Well, people don't like. I don't understand the Penix thing. I go back and forth on, but like I feel like he's pretty good.
I just want I like Chuba Hubbard under 63 rushing yards with 2 of his 5-0 linemen out. I like the Atlanta.
And they're going to be losing. Yeah.
Atlanta giving 13.5 points is like almost 3-1. And also Panthers first drive is punt, even money.
Might lose to a pick.
Fair enough.
Backdoor Bryce burned us last week.
Oh, get back on the horn. Stop
6.5.
The back. Sal and Bill are too scared of the backdoor. We're scared of Bryce Young. They're going to be embarrassed about. It's the same thing they bet on the Justin Fields versus Josh Allen. They're going to be embarrassed. They weren't just blindly betting against Bryce Young every single week.
Yeah, you might prove to be correct on that one. I'm not there. I can't bet Carolina, but I'm also not betting Atlanta. So this was a pass for me.
Are there any other games this week that you look at and you're like, I kind of want, there's props, anything else that intrigues you? Like, I don't know, like look at Raiders, Washington. I'm like, that's kind of a stay away, but is there, unless you want to, but is there anything
I mean,
else
if
you look
Daniels is
around
in and the line goes back to 6, I will happily bet the Raiders.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Them early in the week, but like now at 3.5, forget it. Wait to see.
I agree.
Yeah, the Vikings-Bengals game is probably the most interesting gambling game of the week.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure all this stuff out. I mean, Darisaw, Kelly, we don't know who's playing. Van Ginkel is still on the injury report. We don't know if he's playing. All these guys really matter for Minnesota. Like, you can't be a whole is more than the sum of the parts if all the parts are out.
Exactly. The Vikings are on potentially third-string left tackle, backup center, and then Andrew Van. Yeah, it's a huge deal. Also, Carson Wentz, and also it's a potentially third-string left tackle next to a rookie left guard, next to a backup center, next to a right guard who was a 6th-round pick coming off a broken leg, Will Fries.
Yes.
And I'm like,
love Will, but yeah.
Those are the guys protecting Carson Wentz, who is perhaps one of the worst quarterbacks against pressure I've ever seen in my entire life over the last 6 years. And so
is he better than McCarthy? We're gonna do this bit again. Like, is Tyrod worse than I think Justin Fields? Is Wentz worse than McCarthy? Because I put this in. It's only 2 games, and I know he won AFC Offensive Player of the Week in week 1. But the number I had on McCarthy was
JJ McCarthy actually really won NFL Offensive Player of the Week in week 1?
NFC, yeah.
NFC. That's what?
Yeah. There weren't a lot of high scoring games in the NFC in week 1.
Oh
McCarthy had the national TV resurgence, so he won it. AFC was, I think, Josh Allen. I don't actually know, but I saw that. So McCarthy is 71st out of 76 quarterbacks in the last 3 years with at least 50 snaps in adjusted EPA per play. It's hard for Wentz to be worse than that.
Well, I mean, challenge accepted. I agree. I think that Wentz's ceiling is obviously high.
Like, Wentz might make a lot of mistakes. What did JJ McCarthy do for 2 weeks?
Yeah,
he took sacks, he fumbled, he threw a pick 6. I
McCarthy took
Minnesota
6 sacks
with Wentz.
Yeah, 6 sacks and 2 picks for McCarthy last week is
It's like Wentz wouldn't be worse than that. I swear he would not, and I hated Wentz. He would not be worse than that.
The only thing I'd say though is that I keep thinking about. I agree. I actually do think Wentz could come out and play better this week. And the only thing is, it is a crazy banged up Vikings O-line. And I also think the Bengals. The difference is Carson Wentz. Bill Barnwell had an awesome stat that Carson Wentz is about to be the first quarterback ever to start in 6 different seasons for 6 different teams in a row. Like, nobody's ever he's been on 6 different teams, 6 different years. And meanwhile, Jake Browning's been on the Bengals for 3 years. I know they didn't play that well this week or last week. They won the game. He had the 2 picks, but I'm like, there's a big difference in my mind between a backup quarterback entering the game, getting 0 reps, and then preparing to be the starter all week. And I know the Vikings defense is complicated to face, but I'm looking at Jake Browning. I'm like, these cornerbacks in Minnesota are atrocious. And the
Terrible.
defensive front seven being in Minnesota is really talented, and Grenard's playing great. And, or sorry, no, I always forget the swap. Grenard's still, I always forget the Vikings Texans where they swap Grenard and Deion Hunter. But like Van Ginkel, when he plays, is amazing. Like, I love the front seven from Minnesota, but the cornerbacks are, I mean, Jeff Okudah, I mean, Isaiah Rodgers, who's claim to fame is the,
which might be better for the Vikings.
well,
defense.
I'm just saying, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, quietly, this is one of the larger cornerback, if purely just receivers versus the cornerbacks who will be covering them, one of the larger disparities you will see the entire season is Chase and Higgins versus the Vikings cornerbacks. I know it's not that simple with football.
Sometimes it is, though. Bynum, too, was a big loss for Minnesota.
Cam Bynum that looks like increasingly one of the big mistakes Minnesota made. Cam Bynum looks amazing in Indianapolis and is kind of 2 weeks in, but like has kind of reinvigorated Lou Anarumo's defense, and everything they're doing in Indianapolis looks really good. And I'm Harrison Smith. He hasn't really played. Like, I don't know what's going on there, but like the Vikings secondary is horrific. And I'm just saying, part of me is like, this is another game. I keep looking at the alt line. I'm like,
so you like Cincinnati here? How do you not like Cincinnati then?
That's what I'm saying.
Everything you just told me says you should be on Cincinnati.
But that's what I'm saying is
you
like,
want to hear the crazy stat about Burrow and Browning?
Please.
Since 2023, there are 67 quarterbacks that have played at least 100 snaps. Burrow is 15th in adjusted EPA per play. You want to guess where Jake Browning is?
14th.
16th.
That's funny. But here's the thing. The
it's
offense
different,
looks
right?
different.
They go under center.
Yes.
They play action more. He doesn't take as many sacks.
They become Shanahan-y. And it's, again, the Burrow play style is because it's about Burrow's play style. And he wants to, it's like Peyton Manning.
Right.
Costco,
And it's going really well
basically.
for him.
Yeah, and it's going great. But I just think the Bengals
Except
running
that he's always getting hit because he holds the ball forever.
Exactly. People blame the Bengals for it. And I'm like, I've been as critical as the
It's
Bengals
also
as
Joe Burrow.
anybody. That's the thing. I'm like, are we going to call the Bengals cheap now that they paid Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and did the thing? The crowd, again, this is what I was saying earlier. No one's ever happy. If they had let T. Higgins go, all we would have heard about is they broke the band up. They paid T. Higgins. Everyone's like, you're so cheap. I'm like, they put a first-round left tackle out there and draft. What do you want to do? Like, and so I'm like, the offense is Joe Burrow's preferred offense. There are different styles of how all quarterback styles are. How do you react to pressure when things go wrong? You either force the ball into tight windows like Jameis Winston, and what you're risking is turnovers. You throw the ball away like Aaron Rodgers. You check the ball down like an Alex Smith, or if you're really good at it, like a Tom Brady, or you do the Joe Burrow, which is I'm going to try to get a big play and take a calculated sack, especially if it's third down.
Sacks, yeah.
And there are upsides and downsides to all those archetypes, but the difference is, Joe Burrow's downside is he takes a lot of hits, and like that, and so now we have seen like a lot of injuries add up, and it's, you never know why people get hurt, injury happens. But I agree. Anyway, I just think the Bengals. This is another one.
Bengals are nothing for me here. Yeah.
All right. Any other games?
I feel like you want to do outlines then. You want to do money line? Where
I kind of look at it. I'm like, I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals just absolutely blew them out. Like, alt line on Cincinnati right now is, I'm pulling it up. If the what do you think is a realistic thing to bet on them? I also don't know where the alt lines become profitable, like worth over time. Like, what's a realistic one? 14 and a half?
6.5, 14 and a half. I don't know if Cincinnati could beat anybody by 14 right now.
All right, fine. The Bengals giving 6.5
plus
285.
285.
Right. Almost 3 to 1. I'm like, I love that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Like Wentz falls behind.
Yeah.
Hendrickson gets off the edge. Fumble. Right. Yeah.
All right.
It could happen. I don't know.
Raiders Commanders is, I think, a stay away, as you said. Because
it's a pass. I mean, who knows?
Steelers Patriots. I think it's like I kind of still Christian Gonzalez. I feel like is still a big factor in this game. I'm like,
Pittsburgh's defense being super washed and injured is it's underrated.
Vrabel and Tomlin, these two grizzled, amazing old school defensive coaches.
I want to bet the over so bad, but I cannot do it with these two guys.
But the Steelers defense has allowed the most plays of 15 or more yards, and the Patriots defense has allowed the most plays of 20 or more yards.
But the problem is, if it's 4th and 2 at midfield, both guys are punting.
That's fair.
There is nothing worse when you have the over and the guys are punting from midfield. It just completely kills the game, because if they go for it, you're either getting points one way or the other. When they pin them deep, it's like, So both of these coaches are like are programmed to play these styles like they have good defenses. Neither of them, I think, have realized their defenses stink. And the Pittsburgh defense is really banged up. I mean, Elliott might be back, it looks like, but a lot of the Porter Jr. is questionable. Loudermilk went on the list. He's out, and Highsmith is out. So, I mean, this is a team They're both bottom 8 in success rate. They played the Jets, Raiders, Seahawks, and Dolphins. So it's not a great look for either defense here. I mean, whose offense do I trust more? Probably New England. So like New England team total.
I kind of, it's tough because I really respect Vrabel's ability to game plan. I actually am really interested to see
Okay.
when Vrabel attacks the Steelers.
Where are we on Vrabel?
Oh, it's been no, I'm not changing. I've seen I've seen enough with Vrabel where I'm like, I believe. I know even last week I'm like, I believe in Vrabel. I don't think the personnel's awesome. I am not going to bail on Vrabel being a good coach this season. I just, if we're 2 or 3 years, I do think eventually the Patriots need to win games with Drake May, but I actually do maybe this is going to look really dumb. I kind of trust the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers this season. It's weird because week 1, they're not as good as week 1. He was really excited for that game. And frankly, they just play a ton of man coverage, and you probably shouldn't play a ton of man versus Aaron Rodgers. That was easy. I also think the Seahawks defense is super underrated, and the Steelers and they stayed with them, but that defense is underrated. I think this week is going to be closer to what the Steelers offense looks like all year is whatever happens this week.
All right. Yeah, nothing I love here.
And the last game, I might as well hit it. I mentioned the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks giving 7.5 to the Saints. I think this is such a crazy mismatch. I think Spencer Rattler's done a good job. He's turned the ball over this season, but I'm like, the Seahawks defensive line, the Seahawks are basically almost dead last in blitz rate, but they lead the NFL in pressure rate. I'm like, I think the
simulated Mike McDonald pressures are back.
Dude, I think the Seahawks defense, I think Rattler's actually played underrated. Fantasy,
agree.
Saints run a ton of plays. I think Olave is due for a big play. If you just look at air yards and everything, like I do think the Saints are playing better. Juwan Johnson's been good. But I think if you look at who have the Saints played, they played Arizona. They played Arizona week 1.
The West, they're doing a West tour.
Yeah,
San Francisco, Arizona. And
I'm like, I think those defenses compared to Seattle, it's kind of like the Chrysler 300. Yeah, the Chrysler 300 looks like a Phantom until a Phantom rolls up. I think the Seahawks defense is a Phantom for Spencer Rattler this week. So I kind of want to lay the points.
Rattler's been decent, and I also think that all the data we had on Rattler from last year, they were playing with like not an offensive group of talented players. They were not NFL players. The receiving group was so injured. The O-line was so cooked that he was just drawing dead. Now they're at least healthy. Can you lay 7.5 with this offense, though? It seems really limited to me.
Yeah, I can. I just, maybe I'm a sucker. I guess maybe I should just do the... Well, I don't know. What's a smarter thing to do if I believe in the defense? Is that like just bet the
Saints
under?
team total under?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I would do that.
Because I think this game is like 20-14 late, and it's like Rattler gets the ball, and he has a chance to drive the field for the win, but it doesn't happen. That's how I kind of see this playing out.
Okay. Last thing.
I have no interest in laying 7.5.
Okay. Fair enough. That's fair. Well, that's why we did it last. Last thing before we get out of here, I want to say World Series odds. I know that this is maybe a weird time to bet World Series odds, but I don't know. You're like really into baseball. I wanted to pick your brain because the Phillies are 4-1. The Dodgers are like basically 6-1. And I just wanted to pick your brain first on just the NL and be like, there's such a big gap where it's like the Phillies and Dodgers are clearly favorites, and then the Cubs and the Mets and Padres are kind of just all stacked there. And like, is that like more or less accurate that it's like Dodgers, like the tier 1 is Dodgers, Phillies, tier 2 is Padres, Mets, Cubs, and that's kind of it in the NL?
Yes, I think Dodgers, Phillies are clearly the top 2, but the thing is they're going to play each other. If the way this is breaking, Dodgers are going to be the 3 seed, Phillies are going to be the 2 seed. They will play each other in the divisional round, if assuming the Dodgers get past the Mets or the D-backs, whoever ends up being the 6 seed. So you're going to have the 2 World Series favorites playing in the quarterfinals, basically.
So, in that case, also, sorry, I left out the Brewers. So in that case, why aren't the Brewers, like that doesn't, if that holds, are the Brewers good value at 7-1?
Are you a believer in the power of friendship and vibes?
Oh, the announcer who passed away? Yeah.
Like
man,
the Milwaukee thing too. Just like the whole system makes no sense. Like the reason,
I
do you want to know
it.
why Milwaukee has been one of the most underrated and successful offenses in the league this year? There's 2 things they do really well.
Well, I mean,
it's not hitting home runs. It's not walking.
They score more runs than the other teams?
They do that a lot more, and they do that more than anybody else in baseball. But the 2 main edges they found this year are infield singles and going first to third on singles to the outfield. That's their big edge this year.
Really? So who's doing this?
So
obviously
think about
Chirio's
that. Like,
been
I
great.
mean,
And Terrain is really...
Isn't that kind of scammy, though? Isn't that kind of scammy?
But there is something to be said about going. No, in a world where the Yankees just blew the World Series because Garrett Cole couldn't they couldn't cover first base. There is something to be said about all these analytics that like fundamentals matter. And like I don't know, Jackson Chirio is like, I mean, I know he hit the hamstring thing. I don't know if he's back to full speed, but like Bryce Terang is fast. Like they do have a lot of speedy
guys
that team. And like I don't, as a Yankees fan who saw the Yankees go all in on like we're gonna hit bombs and like either we'll hit bombs or not, but we can't really run the like even like Juan Soto like can't really run the bases or anything like you can tell him over last year's World Series collapse. But like
You're gonna love
I
my
like
pick for
teams who get on
the
base
best bet
and
is
run.
for the World Series
Who do you think it
right
is?
now. I think right now the best bet on the board is the New York Yankees.
Get out of here.
I'm serious.
Really?
Yes, because of the way the pitching is shaping up right now. Heel and Schlittler give them, first of all, like I know everybody's mad about the bullpen. You know who's been one of the best players in baseball the last month, relievers? Devin Williams.
No, stop. No.
52% strikeout rate.
I
the
do
last
not
month.
believe. The initial struggles he had, I thought were like super obvious. Like the
New
airbender
environment. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, they changed this 100-year-old facial hair policy for him, and then he screwed up, and then he got in his head, and I'm like, that makes sense. But then he came back and was good, and then he was bad again. I'm like, that's bad. That makes me not trust you. And I'm like, the fact that, look, you have that early crucible, I get it. The fact that he then came back, Luke Weaver got hurt, Devin Williams came back in the closer thing, and then he just blew it again. That was his chance. The idea that now there will be, like, you know how much more pressure there is on you to win in the Yankees in October when Aaron Judge is like the best player since like Mickey Mantle or whatever, or since Ohtani, whatever. And like Aaron Judge is like, well, if we don't win a World Series, my whole career is a failure. I'm like, that's the moment Devin Williams is going to rise to the occasion. I will believe it when I see it, man.
Okay.
But I will say, I am, and also I'm a casual.
I mean, they're going to
fan.
be in the wild card, so that's always tough. But
Well,
right now,
yeah,
it's going to shape up.
That alone is horrific.
They're going to be the 4 seed probably, and they're going to play the 5 seed either looks like Boston, Seattle, or Houston. All 3 games at Yankee Stadium, and then they're going to go play Toronto. And Toronto doesn't have any frontline pitching. They have like 4 good starters, but Schlittler and Heel are the reason I'm starting to buy the Yankees a little bit.
And the other thing I want to ask you about was
the
also
6th favorite. Maybe I should bet. I might bet American League instead of World Series, but
I think that's probably a good idea. So I will say Phillies were such an easy pick to me to win the World Series before Zach Wheeler got hurt.
Yes.
And then he got hurt, and I was surprised they stayed the favorite. And I get that it's, you don't have to be faster than the bear, just faster than your slowest friend. But the Dodgers, I'm like, yeah, I mean, Glasnow and Yamamoto both threw a no-hitter or close to it in the last, 3 weeks. And I'm like, I don't know, man.
And Ohtani threw 5 no-hit innings this week.
Well, I was going to say, if Ohtani is a bullpen guy, and they said this week Ohtani might come out of the bullpen because the Dodgers have that 6-man rotation, which isn't, I mean, I know they don't have a ton of great starters, but I'm like, if Ohtani's a bullpen guy, I think that is, I don't know. I guess Mookie and Freddie Freeman were so bad in July in the middle of the summer. I mean, Betts was one of the worst hitters in the league, but now they're kind of back. And I don't know. Are the Dodgers weirdly underrated, or am I just out of touch? I know the bullpen.
The main difference between the Dodgers now and the last few years is their bullpen stinks. That's one of the reasons they might move Ohtani to the bullpen. The one thing with the Ohtani bullpen, he would have to close, I think, because when you bring him into the game and then take him out of the game, he's not allowed to hit.
Okay, I've never been more, but that's a good point.
You're going to sacrifice his at bat, so he'd have to be the closer.
That's a good point, but they also need they need a closer, right?
They have no
the
closer.
Dodgers
Tanner
are doing,
Scott's, he's blown a lot of games.
But they're doing the drive line stuff with the weighted balls. I don't know how that works. All I know is that there's at some point when every Dodgers pitcher gets hurt and then re-hurt and they blow Dustin May's career or whatever. At some point, it's on the team. I'll say this though:
Walker Buehler, Dustin May. There's a lot of pitchers that have been ruined by Dodgers. Whatever the hell they're doing.
At some point, something you're doing is weird. I will say this though: I will never, ever, ever get over Ohtani in the World Baseball Classics. Who did he strike out? Trout, Betts, and he faced 3 MVPs, right?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, he faced 3 MVPs in a row and retired the side. I'm like, he is a closer. He did it already.
I only remember Kyle Schwarber's home run off Yu Darvish. That's the only thing I remember.
Anyway, all right. Well, there you go. That's enough baseball for now. We have 6 weeks to talk about baseball. Anyway, Dabbundo, thank you for doing this with me. It's too bad about Sal's passing, but we'll have to struggle. Now he'll be
resurrected on Guest the Lines on Sunday, from what I've heard.
We're actually going to throw to Sal right now. Sal recorded an interview earlier this week with Mark Schlereth. So this is from earlier this week, and we're going to throw to that right now. But thank you, Dabbundo. Thank you, everyone behind the scenes. And let's get to Cousin Sal.
All right, let's start with your Broncos. You're closer to the X's and O's of this team than I am, but it seems like, it's funny, we talked about the offense, but it seems like through 2 weeks, their defense, which was top 5 by almost every metric last year, one of the more disappointing units, I think, in the league. They played okay versus the Titans and then got lit up by the Colts, but really could have been 0-2 versus Cam Ward and Daniel Jones. I don't believe that, but I need to rile you up a little bit.
Yeah, no. You're right. Defensively, I thought that, I came away with it on my radio show here in Denver thinking, well, Indianapolis, maybe I just totally undervalued Indy. They're a big physical team. Offensive line wise, they played exceptionally well. They've got tight ends that are like there are big guys that can hold up on the edge. And I think there's two things they did. They targeted the underneath coverage. They targeted linebackers and they targeted safeties in one-on-one coverage. And they got plenty of those opportunities. And Daniel Jones made them pay. They did a really good job of keeping the Broncos pass rush at bay. And they were bringing a lot of like 5-man pressures, and they were locking them up. And the guys who had one-on-ones at the offensive tackle position won their one-on-ones. The other thing I thought they did a really good job of is understanding where to attack the Broncos in the run game. And they went after Nick Benito, who just signed a big deal, and Jonathan Cooper, who signed a big deal a year ago. Those guys are undersized edge players, and they're damn good pass rushers. And if you've got the lead, if the Broncos have the lead, you're going to be in trouble throwing the ball because they're really good. But they're undersized dudes. And because they had the tight ends, because they had the pulling guards, because they could lock those guys up, they attacked in the running game the C gap, the gap between the tackle and the tight end. That's where they attacked those guys individually. And they had success running the ball there. So it was two things. I thought game plan-wise, Shane Steichen's done an unbelievable job. And, tip of the cap to Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones was, by all intents and purposes, a bust in Giant Land. He just wasn't very good. And, I know it's only 2 games, but in these 2 games that he's played, man, he's played exceptional football. So, hey, all the credit in the world to him for figuring it out in these first 2 games, and to Shane Steichen for going, you know what? The farce of Anthony Richardson is over. I'm over that. I'm not going to play him. This is my guy. And he came out in the beginning before the season started and goes, this is not just for now. Daniel Jones is my starter for the year. And so he came out and said it, and good for him, because now everybody knows where we stand and where we're going.
Right. All right. Well, listen, okay, because I have to do this, I'm going to throw some water on this Colts parade a little bit, because that was one of the more unfortunate sequences imaginable at the end. Let me set the stage. You know it. They're up by 2, your team, the Broncos, with 4 minutes left on the Colts 20, right? So you're going to get a field goal and go up by 5. Then they have to drive with you. But delay a game, face mask, 3rd and 24. I think Franklin catches a pass, gets them down to the 23, 24, and then Lutz misses. Okay, you're still in control. Colts drive down, very conservative play calling, I thought, by Steichen, and they miss a 60-yard field goal, game over. And then take us through your thoughts regarding this leverage play.
You could call leverage on every play, every field goal. It's another one of those ridiculous things that they vote on and they pass, and then you've got the unintended consequences. We had this conversation on the podcast. We had this conversation on my radio show. If you leave the stadium after missing a 60-yard field goal, there's not one person in Indianapolis that leaves Lucas Oil Stadium going, can you believe they didn't call leverage on that?
Good call.
Like, nobody's even heard of it. Right. So, to me, hey, man, a 60-yard field goal, it had no bearing on the play.
Right.
Now, if you step on somebody's back and leap into the air, and knock it down, well, that's a different story, right? But come on, that had absolutely zero bearing on the play. Right. How do you call that? It just makes no sense to me.
Well, a couple things, I think. First of all, they need to change the wording of it. Leverage is a good thing, right? You shouldn't be penalized for leverage. If you're under contract negotiations with Fox, right, you want to have leverage, right? Yeah. Peace treaties. You were a state champ wrestler. Did your coach ever yell at you for having too much leverage? No, I doubt it. Yeah. Second thing, the brotherly shove, the tush push is okay. Yeah, you got 7 guys pushing the best athlete on the team forward into the end zone, but resting your hand on a teammate's back to get a little more hop, though, bueno, they gotta, come on.
It's a silly rule, and the tush push thing, I think we've had this conversation before because everybody's up in arms again about the tush push, and I love it. I think it's really? Nobody can defend it, but the reason I would get rid of it, and I would cancel the tush push, is we used to do it on PAT field goal. I was on PAT field goal block when I was a young player. Right. And Mike Tice was our tight end. He was 6'7", land giant. And I'd stand behind Mike Tice and shove him through the A gap, and he'd try to and block a field goal. We never blocked one, but that was my job. And apparently that was too dangerous when we're shoving as a defense, when we're shoving guys through offensive linemen, special teams wise, that was too dangerous. So we canceled that. Like, we can't have that. But if we do it on offense, it's fine. Like, if we're doing it on offense, it's all good. But we can't do it on the defensive side. That I don't understand how that makes sense to anybody.
Can you tell me why it was outlawed in the first place? Because this was an illegal play, and then they brought it back, the tush push.
I have no idea, and but probably because of danger. Listen, and I've said this many times. I think that, in the time that I was playing, there was a little bit more frontier justice in the league, and you would sit there and go, "Okay, that's what we're going to do right now. See, we're going to tush push. That's great, but your center's going to lose a leg."
Right, right.
I mean, I think that's kind of the way it would. We're just like, we're not going to try to defend the play. We're going to try to hurt somebody that you guys stop running it. And there would have been there was that kind of unwritten rule when you did stuff like that, you're going to get your comeuppance. And anyhow, we live in a kinder, gentler league now where we can't take matters into our own hands. It's kind of like baseball. There used to be a time if you showboat around the bases, the next time you're up or one of your teammates is going to get beaned with a 95-mile-an-hour fastball in the ribs, and you just accept the fact that, hey, I screwed up, my fault, my bad, my teammate had to wear one. And now, of course, everybody gets ejected, and it's the worst thing in the world. And I don't know. I find it kind of silly.
Can I just say two things that have nothing to do with danger or injury to try to change your mind about the tush push and why they should get rid of it? Number one, I didn't even wait for an answer. I'm just going to go right into it. Number one, the referees have lost control. There's just too many big bodies around the ball. There could be 10 guys jumping early, and you can't blame the refs for this. You can blame them for a lot of things, not this. It's just too hard to enforce if the Eagles are getting too much of a head start. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and most of the time, all the Eagles' offensive linemen are offsides because the center gets his head over the ball. Like, the whole thing is yeah. So yes, I agree with that.
Okay, number two, imagine it's actually a good thing that primarily only the Eagles are good at this. Could you imagine if every team was good at this? As every team's offensive line could basically tush push their quarterback forward, and so that we could get any offense can get to 3rd and 3. And then we're going to move the chains in about a minute and a half or less. I think that leads to boring football. That, I think, is the bigger problem.
Yeah, I understand all those things. I happen to just love the fact that we're bigger than you. It's kind of like like dodgeball, like Global Gym. We're better than you, and we know it. And there's something about that makes me happy. So maybe that's just the Neanderthal in me.
All right. Let them do it legally, though. Let them try to figure it out. Hey, the AFC West up for grabs. I think that's fun, right? It hasn't been like this in a while. I know it's only a couple weeks. Odds-wise, the Chargers are favored at almost even odds. And then the Chiefs are plus 250. Your Broncos not too far behind. And then the Raiders at 14-1. I look at that. I know they haven't been great, and the schedule is always a monster. But that Chiefs number jumps out at me. Are you ready to write them off or at least pick one of the other 3 teams to win the division?
I picked the Chargers before the season started.
Okay.
And I live in Denver, and I'm a Denver Bronco, but they're so big, they're so physical. They got a 300-pound fullback. Anytime you put a 300-pound fullback on your roster, I am going to watch you play. I just think they're a really good football team. And I think Jim Harbaugh, he's one of those, wherever, San Diego he won, Stanford he won, San Francisco he won, at Michigan he won. And he's going to win with the Chargers as well because he's that good a coach, and he relies on things that I think are tried and true. He's going to be physical. His teams are going to play physical football. They're going to run the ball. They're going to have a fullback. They are going to control the line of scrimmage. Like all these things that, we get so enamored with wide receivers and we just got to load up with superstar wide receivers. And that is such a misnomer. Like wide receivers are like children. Like they're dependent, right? You got to put them on your tax form. 2, they whine a lot, and unless they're fed. Like that's how wide receivers operate. So I just believe in his philosophy. The other thing I believe in is their identity. they're going to run the stuff they're going to run. Now, they'll always have some adjustments game plan wise, but they're going to line up and say, this is what we do. Can you stop us? And I just don't think a lot of teams can stop them. I think they're that good.
They're very solid. They're very solid. It's tough to bet against them. Big game, big test this week against your team, the Broncos coming to town.
But think about this, Sal. They opened up with Kansas City. They got to win.
Yeah.
Then they played the Raiders Monday night, got to win. And now they play the Broncos. If they win, they're 3-0 and 3-0 in the division. I mean, that's almost, I mean, it'd be hard for anybody to jump over the top of them. But the good news is, and I don't know if we've talked about this, Kansas City is currently in last place. And I just want all your listeners, I just want them to know that the Kansas City Chiefs are currently in last place. And that is good for America. That's bringing us together, I think.
And you claim they're not going to dig their way out of the cellar. Is that what you're saying to me right now?
From my lips to God's ears, I hope not. I hope they just have hey, I have so much respect for Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo and all those guys, and they've had a great run, and I hope it's over.
Well, listen, in a way, it's been over. I know they made the Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl. If you look at their offensive productivity, it takes them forever to get down the field. It was 3 years ago when they were averaging 28 points a game. Since then, 21, 20 and a half, 21. They've had some 35s in there 5 years ago. I can't all be Tyreek Hill, right? So we're just looking at a different, not as exciting Chiefs team who kind of figures out a way to win. We used to, at least, in the fourth quarter.
Well, they have lost 3 straight. I don't know if you know that.
Right.
They lost a Super Bowl, and then they're opening 2 games. I'm keeping track.
There you go. All right. Stink is keeping track. Hey, I could ask about like Rookie of the Year, MVP, but forget all that. I was excited to see that there is now a Protector of the Year award. Did you have something to do with this? This is a brand new award given to the best offensive lineman. I mean, you would have won like 10 of these in a row, right?
You would think. Yeah, I had nothing to do with it, but I love it. I think it's awesome, and I am all about it. So I love the Protector of the Year. I am ready. Yeah, I mean, sign me up. I'd love to. I'd like to have a vote, but nobody gave me a vote because they don't.
Oh, you should definitely get a vote. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna politic and make sure you get a vote here. Who do you early on? I mean, is this just like, all right, we got to get Penei Sewell something here as long as he stays healthy? Is that your guy? He's an odds-on favorite, I think.
He's awesome. There's no question about it, and especially when in Detroit, they're going to run a bunch of trick plays, and eventually they'll give him the ball, and he'll be all over the place. And so I love him. Lane Johnson is a phenomenal player. I mean, just like you should get if you're Trent Williams, you should just get a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh yeah.
Like I was doing a San Francisco game. This was, I think, last year, doing a San Francisco game, and I'm sitting in the lobby after we had our meetings, and I'm sitting there with my director, and I'm sitting there with my producers talking to somebody, and the play-by-play guy and whatever, and there's Trent Williams in the lobby, and I completely, like, in the middle of a conversation, I just walked away from my director who was talking to me, and just fangirled. I was like, oh my God, Trent Williams, it's so good to meet you. I'm just a big fan of yours. I mean, he's like, I watch him play sometimes, and Sal, I'll take off my shirt and just light a cigarette. Wow. It's just awesome. He is incredible. Right. So I'll give him a Lifetime Achievement Award. Tristan Wirfs, when he's out there, he's big time. Hell, man, Baker
how do you separate these guys? Is there a stat that jumps out at you? Is it going to be the PFF rating? Is it the sack? Whoever gives up the fewest sack percentage, or now we have a different argument, right?
No, that's all that stuff is garbage.
You just eyeball it like Madden.
It's the eyeball test. I have my own analytic that I invented. It's called the Boo rating. That's balls over opponent. If your balls are bigger than your opponent's balls, then you get to win on the Boo rating scale. And the thing about Trent that I love watching him, he doesn't care if he misses.
Right.
Like, he'll come off the ball, and if he misses, so what? When he comes off the ball, he is trying to shorten your neck. Like, he is trying to murder you. And he has zero fear. Like, he's just going to come off and try to hunt. And I like guys that play that way, guys that play super physical that way. And anyhow, there's
what's his Boo rating? What would you give him for a Boo rating?
It'd be like a Madden thing. He'd get 100.
He'd get 100. And what would someone
Yeah.
like me get for a
You
boo
would
rating
not
from you?
rate. Yeah, you would be
Too high?
Huh?
Too high off the charts or not?
Way
What do you
off.
mean I
Yeah,
wouldn't
you're
rate?
way off. You're way off the charts.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm
That's sad.
like I said, I'm fangirling right now. It's all good.
You know, it's funny when I do these pools or once in a while, I'll bet these games and I look at San Francisco. It's like, all right, Purdy's out, Kittle's out. Well, is Trent Williams playing? That's kind of all I really need to know, right? Like
right.
until that guy goes out, then we'll talk about San Francisco not making the playoffs. Yeah,
That's
You're
what you
right.
need to know.
Yeah. Speaking of tough guys, someone who might not even need a protector of the year, Baker Mayfield. I know you were tweeting about him. He's just tremendous. He was left for dead a bunch of times, right? Cleveland, Carolina, the Rams, and now he's found a great spot with Tampa Bay. And I feel like he's maybe the most exciting quarterback in the league. I mean, the fourth quarter comes and forget it. He turns a different gear.
Dude, it's unbelievable. Like they scored the 14 points in the first half, and then they got held. They get shut out in the second half. And here's how much confidence Todd Bowles has in Baker Mayfield. I think Todd Bowles let them score at that 2-minute mark so that he could get the ball back and have his timeouts, so his quarterback could convert a 4th down and 10 with a guy that had him lined up. Blitzing him. And it's just a free runner. He makes him miss, then goes 10 yards, ass over tea kettle. Like he is that guy that you love to play with, that you hate to play against. Yeah. And it was like, he reminds me, and I love watching him play, but he reminds me of a guy I play with named Bubby Brister.
Sure.
And when Bubby played, he was our backup quarterback in Denver on our 2 championship teams. And Bubby played in 98. He played almost the entirety of 6 games because Elway had a hamstring injury. And he'd be in the huddle, like we're supposed to be calling plays, and he'd be over the top of the offensive line's shoulders talking shit to the defensive line. And you'd be like, Bubby, man, shut up. I got to block the guy, right? And he's like, oh, you got him, Bo. You got him. Not big, And he'd scramble, get hit, and he'd get up, and he'd just be in somebody's face, and you had to pull him off, and he's just so excitable, man. And it's so much. Those guys are they're fun. They energize the entirety. Forget about just energizing the offense. The defense gets off the bench to watch that guy play. And they just energize the entirety of the football team, man. His story's unbelievable. It'll be a 30 for 30 thing, a special. He's incredible. What he's done is just awesome. It's fun to watch.
I was talking to my friend. I still have a few friends. And does he have the wildest quarterback career out of any signal caller? Like maybe Kurt Warner's is crazier, but I think Baker might be second, right?
Yeah, I mean, 1st-round draft choice. Takes the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs. The next year goes 8-9. I think it was 8-8, whatever. Yeah. And they dump him. And then, then he goes to Carolina, and at some point in Carolina, I got pictures of it. He's playing scout team defensive end.
Right.
Scout team defensive end. Right. Then they cut him. The Rams pick him up, and in 2 days' time, he learns the offense and hangs 50 on the Broncos.
Christmas week, right? Yeah.
And
it's
then
nuts.
He goes to Tampa, and the rest is history. It's just, man, it's incredible. Like you said, it's an incredible story. Yeah. Good for him, man.
It's Warner and Baker and no one else, I think. You and Chris Myers have Raiders Commanders this week, right?
Yes, indeed.
That's it. Super Bowl rematch, except it was Redskins and the Raiders weren't in Vegas, but close enough. That was a fun one.
That was a good one. I wasn't there for that one, but that was a good one. Yeah, it should be good. I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to play or not.
It looks like no. Yeah, it looks like it's Mariota and Geno Smith. But in a way, like this is an interesting game because the loser is on the outside looking in for sure to make the playoffs. What are you looking for in this game?
Obviously, for Washington, it's about getting your stuff going again. How you change your offense with Mariota? What can he run? Can he do some of the same things? He's not as athletically gifted as Jaden Daniels. So how much does the offense change? Obviously, they had some injuries, but Eckler's a big-time third-down guy, so you've got to replace Eckler. It'll probably be by committee. I don't know what that division of labor will be, but I'm sure it'll be by committee. So that will change a lot defensively. They're a heavy man-to-man cover team, so Can you hold up against Bowers? Can you hold up against Jacoby Myers, who's playing really good football for them right now? And then Geno, can you bounce back from that debacle that was Monday night? You just really play poorly. And I'm going to tell you right now, Ashton Jeanty it's hard for me to say anything nice about a Boise State player, but I'm going to say something nice. That kid is special. And when he learns that every meal is not a smorgasbord, like you got to take your 4-yard gains, right? And eventually you're going to pop one. This is the weekend. He's going to pop a long one. Like he is very close, but there's a couple of times where you'll see him. He'll be pressing like on a duo type play, and he bounces because he can. He bounces into an unblocked guy, and that to me says I'm not really sure defensively what they're doing. I'm just relying on my vision. And what you have to understand as a running back, you have to understand scheme. You have to understand who we can block and who's the unblocked character. And you can't cut back into the unblocked guy because you know what he does? Tackles people because he's not blocked. So, like, when you start to really learn, like people ask me what was special about Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis knew the offense, knew the weak spots, knew the strength of the offense, knew, hey, man, that dude, that outside linebacker is lined up over the tight end in a 7 front, and that guy's an absolute bitch. So I know I'm not going to get outside on this 18 handoff. I know I'm going to have to cut back inside because he'll set that edge. And so when you anticipate those things, like it just makes your job so much easier. But you've got to understand the totality of the offense, who we can block, who we can't block, where the tough matchup is, where maybe the easier matchup is, and then you've got to adjust accordingly. You still have to trust your eyes, but you have to have knowledge of what's going on up front. And there's too many times that I've watched him in the last 2 weeks where he's trying to make something big happen, and he's not quite aware of kind of where the unblocked guys are and who we can and can't account for.
Is that something a running backs coach could help him with, or is that just something he has to learn on the field and he'll have to like spin off into the wrong dude, and then that'll be that?
You always coach it up. The coaches coach it up, but it just takes time to have that feel and to really know like what you're looking at.
I love it. What is it? The boo rating again?
Balls over opponent? Balls over opponent. Learn it, live it, love it, my friend.
I'm going to learn it. I have to improve my rating. I don't know why you had me so low, but all right. That's very sad. It's a Stinking Truth podcast, Fox Sports NFL. That's where you could see him, or camp out in front of his mansion in 6 weeks and you could watch as he immaculately shovels his driveway. You looking forward to that?
I am looking forward to that. I was living in New York for a year. I gave my snowblower away, which is good because I'm just going to be like my dad, poolside, just yoked, shoveling snow, man, shoveling snow.
That does it for the Ringer Gambling Show. For Mark Schlereth, Anthony Dabbundo, and Danny Heifetz, I'm Sal saying so long, and may your weekend be loaded with locks. Must be 21 or older and present in select states, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. You must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York in New York.